Good morning, and thank you for joining the second edition of the Steele Summer Learning Series. We're very excited to have you this morning. Thought we would start off with a fun little video and a shout out to Trustmark Insurance Company, who originally I discovered that video through. And I thought it might be a great way to start us off this morning as we talk about, number one, the great benefits that technology can do. But something else that I want to feature as part of that too is also the human element and the interpersonal element and how we can use people and interaction to supplement the great things that technology can do for us. So we've got a jam-packed session for today. There's something new for everyone. So we've got a group of customers on the line, some broker advisor community on the line, and some customers or some potential customers that are considering Steele on the line as well. And no matter who you are, there's something for everyone. We've got an exciting rollout of our text messaging module, which I will be showing and demonstrating today, as well as other various items and services that Steele does. So welcome so much, and without further ado, we're going to get started. And bear with me for a moment. I'm going to make sure I've got my audio set right. All right, a little housekeeping first. Today's session is titled Soup to Nuts, a full solution demonstration from Steele. And if you haven't heard of the phrase soup to nuts, it's actually a real thing. So it's an American English idiom, which means from beginning to end. And so what we're looking at today is the Steele solution from beginning to end. And where that idiom comes from is it's demonstrating a meal starting with an appetizer of soup, through a full course meal, and finishing with a dessert of nuts. And so we're going from appetizers to desserts today, and let's get started. First off, I want to take a moment and just thank Jen Gaddis and Deb Wolf, who were with us last week on June 2, talking about the impact of COVID-19 on your open enrollments this year. If you did miss that session, it was an extraordinary session, and you can view the recording of that now on the steelebenefits.com website. So that's still available to you. June 9th is today. We're going to do a full solution demonstration today. Next week, we're going to do life events. That's going to be presented by the Steele technology team. The appropriate audience for that is largely going to be employers that already use the Steele system. Also, if you're considering adding Steele and you want to know how life events work in our system, we're going to do a deep dive into that. If you're a broker or advisor and you want to see some of the tools that exist to help manage eligibility, then that's going to be discussed next week on June 16th. June 23rd, we're going to have a panel and with some industry experts, and we're going to talk about employee benefits that could trend in 2020. That's a special focus on benefits that make sense in a world with COVID-19. And then June 30th is going to be a texting demonstration. So we're going to get into a little bit of that today, but we're going to actually do demonstrations of 3 different solutions today: the employee enrollment site, the employer administration site, and the text message capabilities that Steele has. And so with that, you're going to see a little bit of an overview of it today, but a real deep dive into that is coming on June 30th, and that's going to be a great event that you won't want to miss. So a word as we get started, Steele is, our services really are employee engagement, benefits, communication, administration, and engagement. And just a word on what we're trying to accomplish here. Engaged employees are more loyal to their employer, they're more productive at work, and they have less absenteeism and presenteeism. And so that's where we're trying to get to. So it's got benefits to both the organization and also to the employee itself. The Steele vision is to create a prosperous workforce, so that's very employee-facing with the way that we look at it. But for our employers on the line, that does have a benefit for you as well. And so with that said, there's really 4 functions that we're trying to help you serve as it relates to your benefits packages. Function 1 is hit the mark with a great benefits package. Number 2, get the full value by communicating it well. Number 3, make enrollment simple and easy. And number 4, getting the data where it needs to go. And as we get started here, what I want to do is I want to stop and pause here for a moment. And let's start with our first audience poll of the day. And so what I want to first ask you is who we have on the line. We've got benefits professionals, consultants, advisory, industry folks, and let's take a look and see who we've got on the line today. I'll give you a moment. Sharing the results, it looks like we've got 36% are benefits professionals, welcome to you, and another 33 that are in HR professionals, so about 7 in 10 come from benefits or HR. We've got some finance professionals on the line, some members of the consulting and advisory communities, and some insurance carrier folks, and one in the other category. So thank you so much for sharing that. So digging into the Steele services, and for those of you that are customers, I think that this will resonate with you and that you'll see some of that. At the foundation of the Steele tool belt is the interpersonal support, your relationship with your customer success manager, with our technology team, the people element, the enrollers that we use to work with your employees from the enrollment standpoint. The technology aspect is also foundational. Pre-2007, so 2006 and before, we were doing enrollments on paper. We went to a paperless environment starting in 2007, and today we're completely and 100% paperless, and that's of critical importance to both us and to you. Also, the employee technology. So again, pre-2011 or so, 100% of the enrollments that we did were enroller assisted. So beginning around 2011, we started to allow employees to enroll themselves, and we've been steadily integrating that in as a bigger part of our business. And so the employee technology is a big part there. And then at the top of the pyramid, we've got the engagement resources. So in the past, that has been things like maybe sending a postcard, helping you write email templates, creating posters and written communications, et cetera. As we enter into 2020 and beyond, engagement means something totally different. I will say that, in my opinion, our customers that are working with Steele are going to have a lot more engagement resources 5 years from now than what you used last year as an example. Because as we really look at what does that mean to attract and retain talent, to get that appreciation, to minimize turnover, et cetera, the engagement resources is such a big part of that. And that's one of those where we can rely on the interpersonal stuff, we can do the print stuff, but there's also some digital tools that we're just starting to scratch the surfaces of what you can do with that. So from a Steele Solutions standpoint, we've got 4 solutions that are available to you. One of the things that we did even in a pre-COVID-19 world is we've been working on making our solutions easier to understand for you, for our customers, and for those that are presenting to. And so we've got 4 buckets of how we can help you. The first bucket is the technology angle. So that's your employer administration site. That's the employee enrollment site. We've got the compliance angle, and that's the 1094C, 1095C reporting and the filing with the IRS. We've got the enrollment angle, and today, in terms of enrollment, we're going to talk primarily about the call center as an enrollment method. In a world with COVID-19, we're expecting that to be a big resource for how we do one-to-one enrollment with your employees this year. In fact, Steele has already made the position that we're actually not going to send enrollers to customer sites for the year 2020, and it'll all be virtual engagement instead. And more on that here in a moment. Of course, self-service also continues to be available for you as well. And then the other service that Steele has is the engagement service. And so that's in the past is, again, the postcards, the written things, the email templates. In the future, it's surveys, quizzes, text messaging, etc. And so what I want to do here is I want to pause for a moment, and we're going to go to our second audience poll. And for our second poll question, what we want to ask is which services, Steele services, do you currently use? Is it none of the above yet, or are you using the technology software? Are you using the ACA reporting? Are you using call center for enrollment help, open enrollment promotion? And I will make note that you're more than welcome to check as many of these as apply. And I'll give you another 20 seconds or so to a look at this. Give you another few moments. And just to look at how your peers on the line are using the software, we've got roughly 1 in 4 on the line that is not yet a Steele customer, so that's great. Welcome, we're glad to have you. We've got roughly 3 out of 5 on the line that's using our benefit administration software, so that would be the technology that includes data feeds, reporting, employee enrollment, et cetera. We've got roughly 40% on the line that are using the Steele Affordable Care Act reporting solution. I'm actually a little bit surprised that number is not higher. We've got roughly 1 in 4 employers that are using the call center enrollment help in the past, and so that's great. You know, we're happy to have you, and we're happy to be doing that for you. I envision that number will be much closer to 100% this year, so I'm expecting it to get into the 60, 70, 80% this year in terms of who will help with that. We've got half of our groups on the line are using enrollment promotion, and about 70% are doing some sort of employee self-enrollment online. And it was interesting, for those of you that were with us last week when we had Jim Gaddis and Deb Wolf, and we talked about what are some of the different engagement methods that you're going to use next year, I was very surprised to see that 91% of employers said that they had some interest in online self-enrollment this year as either the entirety or part of their strategies. So for those of you on the line that aren't doing that yet, that was an incredible revelation that we had last week. Okay. Bear with me for a moment here. So from a Steele standpoint, electing services and kind of how we bucket those. So we've got Steele Tech, which is the employee enrollment site, the administration site, the carrier data feeds. So we send your information to Anthem, to United Healthcare, to VSP, to Guardian, MetLife, Lincoln, whoever it may be, through the data feeds. We've got ad hoc reporting through the system and self-billing tools all through the Steele technology system, which is powered by Selerix Systems, which is a national platform. We've then got the Steele Comply, which is the Affordable Care Act reporting solution. If you were to look across our group of Steele customers, well over 80% of customers that we're doing benefits administration services for, we're also doing Affordable Care Act services for. And so some of what applies there is giving you your 1094 and 1095C forms in Excel, generating your 1095C forms, helping with distribution if that's in your contracts, creating the 1094C, doing the IRS filing under single sign-on with the IRS, and helping you to service the corrections process. Telephonic enrollment. So we're in Steele Enroll now. What does that look like? Telephonic enrollment. If you haven't done that before, or if you need a refresher, just a couple of reminders on what's involved with that. When an employee has a conversation with the Steele call center, it is a recorded conversation on our lines. We have all our enrollers are licensed, and also we do a case-specific trained team. Some of these things we take for granted that you might know, and that we maybe could communicate that better, but we don't have a call-in queue where enrollers are servicing 70 different corporations when they call in. Generally, an enroller that works with us on our phone lines are going to be working with a maximum of 3 or 4 enrollers, and often, or 3 and 4 employers, and oftentimes only one. So they really are going to know your benefits. The telephonic enrollment also is available in English and Spanish, and language line is available. So if, for example, and if you're on the line, when I say this, you might know who I'm talking. You might know I'm talking to you. We've got one customer, for an example, that has 1,800 employees in over 150 different languages. So we have a HIPAA compliant language line for those types of situations. Then the Steele Engage, which is the new function that we're going to be introducing to you today, and that's the text and SMS messaging, surveys, quizzes, audience targeting, results reporting, and campaigns. So we're doing a survey of that today, and we're going to do a deep dive into that on June 30th when we're blessed to have Steve Olivas with us as a guest from Selerix. So we probably could do more to tell you about the technology that you already have. I was thinking about this as we were preparing this particular presentation for today, and keeping it relevant for you, knowing that some of you are customers of ours, and do you really need to hear a sales pitch if you're already a customer? But we probably could do a better job. In some cases, you've been with us for 5 years or more, and it would be good maybe to do a refresher in terms of what the technology is that's powered behind you and why you've made a good choice. The Selerix platform is an employer administration site and an employee enrollment site. I'm going to, so let's hit a poll before we go into there any deeper. Otherwise, I'm going to give you a tip away. Curious what you might think if you would like to play a guess game with us. How many employees or how many lives would you say are on the Selerix platform today, if you had to guess? I'll give you a few moments. If anybody was reading those slides quick enough to get the answer, I applaud you. So here's the results of our poll. How many people would you guess are on the Selerix platform today? 5% say 100,000 folks. 34% say 500,000, 48% say 4 million, and 14% say 10 million. And if you were in the group that said 10 million people on the platform, then you are correct. So about 1 in 30 people across the entire United States enroll on the Selerix platform today, or 10 million folks. And by the way, for those of you that said 100,000, the group of employees that Steele services is approximately 100,000 of that. So you did have some truth in there. But yeah, so that may surprise a number of you, but 10 million people nationally are on the Selerix platform today. So a little bit about what makes Selerix a good choice. So the architecture of the system is what's called JScript enabled. And yes, I'm digging deep into the weeds when I talk about that. But what that means is at Steele, we have a basic architecture that the platform is built on, and we can operate in that environment and do your builds fairly quickly. But we also have JScript architecture enabled, so if there's something specific or special that you need the system to do, a lot of times we can write some code into the backdrop and get the system to do that. So just as an example of that, there is a large metropolitan school district in Indianapolis that went live with us just in the last couple of months, and they've been on 3 different systems through the course of their online enrollment journey. And we were able to do something for them that the 2 other systems were not able to do, which had to do with termination rules. Most employers will terminate either on the date of an event for a benefit or at the end of the month for a benefit. But this particular employer had a rule where if the termination date is after the 15th of the month, they'll cover you through the end of the next month. If it's before the 15th of the month, they'll cover you through the end of the current month. And so that's the type of rule that will trip up most systems. And that's the type of rule that Selerix can handle. And a lot of our customers are bargained. They've got 10, 15, 20 job classes. The largest customer we have is a trust, or the most complicated customer we have is a trust that has inside it over 600 different job classes with eligibility, grouping, and rates. And that's the type of complexity that Selerix can manage, and that's why this particular platform is the platform that we choose to build on. Another advantage that we have with Selerix is mature EDI and data feed relationships. What that means is we're not necessarily recreating the wheel every time we need to make a data feed to a new carrier. That's one of the benefits of actually having a national platform with 10 million people that are enrolling on it is, for example, a couple of years ago when we had a new customer, they're domiciled in Alabama, and their health plan is through Blue Cross of Alabama, where it's not going to be the first time a data feed has ever been built on Selerix for Blue Cross of Alabama. And when a couple of years later, when they make a change and they're now through Blue Cross of Ohio or Blue Cross of Michigan, again, not the first time that we're going to have worked with those folks based on what the mature data feed relationships that already exist with Selerix. So that's a major benefit. Transitioning into enrollment a little bit, and actually I want to stop here and ask you another guess and chat question. So, bearing in mind that a number of our customers also do self-enroll, online enrollment, how many enrollers would you guess that Steele is working with for our third and fourth quarter enrollments? Sharing the results of that, 5% think 40, 48% think 100, and another half say 200. And the correct answer on this one is 100 benefit enrollers. So we've got 100 different benefit specialists that are in the field helping employees enroll during the months of October and November. For those of you that said 200, there's some truth there as well. We do have relationships with over 200 enrollers, which means that if we need to flex and scale up based on the circumstances, we already have that. And of course, we also, we need 200 good benefits counselors in order to have 100, right? Because we want to work with people that have a good understanding of your core benefits, of your medical, your dental, your vision, that talk to your employees in the right way that you're comfortable with and the way that you would want it to be presented. And so we, of course, are continuously evaluating our team. We're trying to put the best team that we have in the field to work with you. And so we have over 200 relationships, and we're actively positioning about 100 folks with jobs to help you enroll in benefits in the fourth quarter. Okay. I do want to spotlight just one of those people, a gentleman by the name of Joe Lilly. So Joe is one of our very well tenured enrollers. He's worked with Steele since 2013. He's been enrolling benefits since 2007, has enrolled both in the call center and on-site with employers, including some of you that are on the line today. He does a great job at helping employees feel confident with their benefit plans. And Joe in particular is especially good at communicating benefits like life insurance with long-term care and disability benefits and really all benefits. And so, Joe is a great example of what makes Steele great. Yes, we could do self-enrollment only and just send your employees to a platform to enroll, and they can conveniently enroll on their cell phones and tablets and computers. But there are some of your employees that want more help. And so when they have access to people like Joe, it just gives them an overall better benefits experience when you enroll with our team. So just a couple items on enrollments for 2020 and kind of what to expect. As we mentioned kind of off the top, I'm expecting for a lot of our folks on the line, we're going to be helping you enroll with our call center. So just a few notes on that. We mentioned some of this already. I take for granted that everybody knows that we're based in the USA, but all of our enrollers are here in the USA. They're actually all across the country. And so we hire enrollment talent from across the country. In the past, we've actually brought them to our physical location at Steele. This year, we're going to be setting them up remotely on our VoIP phone infrastructure, and they're going to be working from North Carolina and Alabama and Ohio and so forth. But we do have call recording controls, and we're recording and we're giving feedback to our enrollment team about the quality of their calls. And so your folks that are doing enrollments for you, they are being actively assessed by us. English and Spanish, as we mentioned, inbound and outbound dial plans. If you have 2,000 employees and you give your employees 2 weeks to enroll, 1,500 of them are going to enroll in the last 2 days of the enrollment period. Well, from a call center standpoint, that's pretty impossible to manage. And so we highly suggest, if you would like call center to be a major focus of your enrollment plan, we also do some outbound calling as well, so that we can try to generate activity through the enrollment period. That way we can kind of normalize that and create a scenario where your employees get a better experience when they want to actually talk to somebody. Really, there's 2 ways that we can do that. We can do those calls as scheduled calls, where we use an online scheduler like Sign Up Genius or something comparable, and we make outbound calls to your folks. We've done that with great success. Or we can do it ad hoc, where we're calling out kind of at random on different days. Or we can just allow employees to call us. Just be careful if you set that up, because you're going to get a massive influx of calls in the last 2 days of the enrollment. Also do a 3-minute maximum hold time. So that doesn't mean that there would never be a scenario where somebody's not as available in the first 3 minutes. As you know, benefit conversations can last a long time. Our average is somewhere just underneath 20 minutes in terms of how long it takes. It's not uncommon for 25, 27, 29. Sometimes you got somebody, if somebody walks in and sits down or calls us and they maybe have stage 4 cancer and they want to know which benefits are right for them, that might be a 45-minute phone call. And so we've got to account for that. So how do we do that in terms of making sure that we don't have long hold times for your folks? Well, one of the ways that we do it is a 3-minute maximum hold time. If a employee is on hold for 3 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to kick them into a voicemail box, and we will call them back when somebody's available. And so that might be 30 seconds later, or a minute later, or 2 minutes later. The last thing we want to do is put your employees on hold for 12 minutes and make them wait. So we're not going to do that. This year, we've got some special things that are coming that we're working on right now. So right now, we're on a tool called Zoom Webinar. This tool that we're doing this particular meeting on is also going to be available for you for group meetings. So if you would like us to help facilitate a group meeting for you, we can do that. We also can record your group meeting, which we can give you access to that so that you can post it on your internal intranet sites and maybe replace those in-person group meetings that you've done with webinar group meetings and recordings, which has the potential to be great, for example, for engaging spouses. We're also going to do simulated on-site or virtual one-to-one meetings this year. So for customers that feel that actually seeing an enroller is really important to the value proposition that you have with Steele, or your employees just greatly appreciate that and it's very important to them, what we're going to be able to do is send some computers out to you so that we can set it up at your site. We can put an enroller linked on a Zoom account that's just live all day so that your employees can come sit in front of a computer that's pre-set up at your site and see us, and we can help them enroll as if we were actually there. And of course, self-enrollment is a big thing too. Compliance, I'm going to hit just briefly. If you are doing Selerix from the Steele platform, and we have access to who you hire, when you hire them, what benefits they participate in, what family members they were covered, and the costs of your plan. So that's all the basic data that we need for the 1094, 1095 reporting. And if you haven't talked to us about this yet and you're already on our platform, it's definitely something to talk to your customer success manager about. We've got a lot of ground to cover today, so I'm not going to hit all of these bullets one by one, but what I am going to do is ask you for some feedback for those of you that are using it so that we can share that with the group here. And so for those of you that are using Steele's 1094C, 1095C reporting solution, how would you describe about it? Functional and we're satisfied, don't take it away from me, or don't currently use it? Okay, so sharing the results of that, we've got about 43% that aren't currently using it. For the folks that are using it, we've got a third that say, whatever you do, don't take it away from me. Another 17% that say it's functional and we're satisfied. And 7% that say not as easy as it should be. By the way, as we finish this meeting today, one of the last things that I'm going to do as you hop off is display a slide with a email address for Steele, info@steelebenefits.com. If you happen to be in that group that says not as easy as it should be, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and share that with us, and we can see if there's anything that we can do to make that a better experience for you as well. So overall, as you can see, the tool works great, and it's something that if you have pain with your current Affordable Care Act reporting process, this may be something that that can help you out. Okay. All right, so we're getting down into the employee engagement section, and you can feel free to tell me that you don't agree with me on this, as we get together. But I'm going to take a bold stance, and I'm going to say employee engagement is forever changed, and it will never go back to the way it was before. So last week we had Jen Gaddis and Deb Wolf on the line from MS Companies and Metropolitan School District of Washington Township. And Jen Gaddis was talking about how text messaging is the #1 tool that they use for benefits communication. And Deb Wolf was talking about how they often have done new employee orientations once per year in August for their new teachers that are starting, and that she believes that they will never do that again in the way they were done before. And so COVID-19 is a reality. And for those of you that are on the line that has impacted your businesses, I would definitely want to express empathy for that and sympathy. As a business owner myself, it breaks my heart when that puts you, for those of you that's put into difficult times. But it is an opportunity for us to examine how that's going to change employee engagement. There's opportunities to do this in whole new ways that we haven't considered before. And some of those ideas are going to be catalysts that are going to make engagement better, and it's never going to be done quite like it was before. And so kicking off into that conversation, I want to share our next poll question, which is also our last poll question. And I want to ask you, if I was to send you a communication right now, what would you be personally most likely to read? Give you a few more seconds here. So here's the results of that poll. 45% say email and 55% say a text message. And so that's probably a cautionary tale, right? As we think about how we're communicating benefits today. If we're doing that by sending postcards, linking to things on enrollment sites, doing benefit booklets, et cetera, as benefit administrators, we just need to be aware of that that's not where employees go to consume information. And so, as we look forward in the next 3 months, year, 2 years, 5 years, et cetera, I think it makes sense to pay attention to how do employees actually consume information and make sure that we give it to them in the way that they're most likely to engage with it, right? And so that's going to kick us into a conversation about the engagement portion here. So we are launching a new service that's going to help you text from the system. It is available for a cost. I'm just going to go ahead and say that cost is $1 per employee per month. And that's something that there's going to be a whole nother session on that on June 30th. So I'm not going to get too into the weeds on those types of details, but I do want to show you what it looks like today. Texting is now available from the Selerix platform. So just a few examples of things that you'll be able to do with that if you turn this module on. One is employee open enrollment communication, so sending out texts with links to information about what's going on with your benefits plan. Also texts like, for example, open enrollment is coming soon, open enrollment starts today. As we get closer to September 1st, we have an entire session dedicated to events-based communication. So one thing that is a deviation for Steele as we go down this path talking about engagement is in the past, we really have talked about engagement in the scope of open enrollment. But you're open 365 days a year. Open enrollment is a 14-day period. If we were all to be self-critical of each other and talk about, how well do we engage our employees through the year versus only during open enrollment, I think a lot of us would say that we do a good job of communicating around open enrollment, but that there's more that we could do through the year. And so a tool like this, like what we're showing today, yes, it is an open enrollment tool, but it's also something that can be used through the year to permanently change engagement. So examples of events-based communication might be things like happy birthday, and getting a text that way, or congratulations on your work anniversary, or our system knows when they have a life event. So can we send a congratulations on a new family member text when a dependent gets added to the health plan? Things like that are examples of what's coming. Also, communication is not tied to employee benefits. So the timely example of that is, what if we could send a text message out to all employees and say welcome back on an employee's first day of work if maybe you've had a work stoppage, as an example. But it really wouldn't have to be benefits or even HR related at all. What kind of communications would you want to send out? And new hire reminders. So those invitations to enroll that we help you set up, where we help your new hires to enroll. What if we could integrate not just email into that, but also text messaging and surveys and quizzes and other things? So I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds on the bullet points here, just because we're going to show that in just a few minutes, and I want to allow some time for that. And you know what, I'm going to skip a few of these things just because in the interest of time and where we're at, I want to make sure we get into a systems and solutions on here. All right. So for those of you that are Steele customers already, I'm going to show two things that you've seen before, and that is the employee enrollment site and the employer administration site, and then we're going to show the text messaging module, which is new to almost everyone on the line, I think. Bear with me, and I'm going to get this pulled up. Okay. So looking at what we've got here, what we have is an administrator dashboard. Just a reminder of a few items that you have on your dashboard. You've got the ability to pull up specific employee records, days left in an open enrollment period, follow-up items. So for example, if an employee signs up for an HSA and you want a prompt to actually make sure a bank account gets opened, that's an example of something you can put in follow-up. Some of you on the line are also using follow-up for dependent eligibility. Just because I have a spouse doesn't mean that that spouse should automatically be allowed to be covered. I want a marriage certificate or an affidavit from a spouse's place of work, etc. So those types of things can be brought into follow-up. We've got a pie chart of enrollment status for our folks and a list of data feeds that are running. In this case, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up Anita Bailey and I'm going to show the employee enrollment site briefly. So this is what the employee enrollment site looks like on a computer, what it looks like on a cell phone. So it's mobile optimized, don't need any kind of special app, automatically works. We'll preload a lot of information from carriers. Just use the next button. Dependents will be preloaded if we have access to those. Benefits summaries, we're going to show access to plan information from years past. And then the trick here is just to use the next button until you're done. Okay. Enrollment experience, super easy. When a enrollment change is made, it automatically updates on the admin side of the site. So pulling Anita Bailey up again. If I was processing a life event, that would be available to her here. If I was editing something in her employee record, it would be here. Here's where I'm going to go to terminate. That's going to feed to COBRA providers, medical insurance companies, et cetera. And two of the most popular tabs for administrators, beneficiary tab. So here's where you're storing your basic life beneficiaries and beneficiaries for other plans, and your coverage tab, which is going to give you everything in one place. If you are a current user and you want to know what your folks have had in the past, maybe it's not your first year with Steele System, you can also check that coverage history box, and it's going to show history from years past. One other item on here in the employee record that not everybody is doing, but that you can do, there is a form section. In the form section, you're welcome to use the plus, and a lot of our clients use that to add dependent verification documents and get rid of that filing cabinet and give you a place to store that online. So that's something that's available to you. And as employees change things over time, we're going to have access to things like their events history, the ability to process life events, dates and times of their logins and who has been messing with that employee's record, whether it's you or them, work history, and so forth. That's the administrator site. By the way, for those of you that are working with us on Affordable Care Act reporting, that's coming out of the reports section. We run that for you, but that's how we generate it. Other items that are in reports are things like self-bills, census documents, activity reports, et cetera. And we've got a whole session on reports as we get a little deeper into the Steele series here. So next up, what I want to do is flip over and show that and conclude with the text messaging and show you how that's going to work for those of you that participate in that. All right. By the way, I meant to mention off the top, there's two ways you can get the Steele platform. One is direct with Steele, but carriers will help you pay for it. So you may notice on my site up here, my demo site, it says Aflac at Work. You can get it direct with Steele where you have no carrier signage, no carrier logo on your login page, where it's just purely a technology solution there, or you can get that through a carrier. So some of our customers on the line, examples of carriers that we're working with are people like Lincoln, Aflac, Allstate, MetLife, Guardian, Trustmark, and Chubb. And so those carriers will help you pay for it. And that's a partial list. They'll help you pay for it if you'll accept some conditions around enrollments, logos on login pages, those kinds of things. For those of you that have the admin site and you add the text messaging functionality, you will have a new bar that will appear at the top that says Selerix Engage. And when you click to that, it's gonna take you over into a fully integrated employee communication tool, which is a separate but linked piece of software. The advantage of having this software versus some other text messaging tool is it's already linked up via API with your benefits administration system. So when you add new hires, they're already there. When you terminate people, they're automatically taken out. When your audiences change or move to different locations, et cetera, those types of filters are going to automatically update, and people will get only communications that you've set up for them based on the characteristics that they already have, which is a feature called audience targeting. What you have the ability to do is run different campaigns through the year, and on your main page, you're going to see a list of different campaigns that you might have running. There's also a look into visibility here. So I, for example, have a health savings account education campaign running. And what I see is From that communication that's being distributed, 50% of employees are clicking on a link that I have inside that campaign. Just a quick look at how you would set this up. By the way, this is all user-generated content. So yes, Steele can help you generate some content, but you actually don't need us. If you want to send out your own content, you're more than welcome to do that. We're going to give you a guide, train you how to do it, and you can send out whatever communication you want, whenever you want. Different ways to set that up. One way is via a campaign. So for example, I have an open enrollment call to action campaign, and that may be a series of quizzes, surveys, and text messages that go out that are driven based on when the open enrollment date starts and stops. I've also got a health savings account education campaign set up, and that may not even run during the enrollment dates. You may want to just send a fun little quiz out there about how well do employees know their benefits. That's the type of stuff you can set up, and you can schedule it anytime throughout the year. Maybe it's a telemedicine tool or a wellness benefit or an EAP. You can schedule those things through the year. The populations will dynamically update, and you can drip those out through the year at a schedule that you set with content that you create. Maybe what I want to do is just send a text message. I want to show you how easy that would be. So here is a list of different text messages that I have. And welcome to open enrollment, welcome back, open enrollment ends tomorrow, open your HSA, got a flu shot, an onboarding welcome, different things like that. And if I want to add a message, it's as simple as clicking and saying, and when do I want that to be delivered? I'm going to say 2 days from today on the 11th. And I'm going to say 4 o'clock p.m. Who do I want that audience to go to? So I've got a few audiences I've already picked. Do I want to send it to a particular location, people participating in a particular plan, only people in the medical plan, people that are subject to the spousal carve-out, a specific list of people, etc. And so I'm going to say, just for the sake of this, I'm going to send it to all my full-time. I'm not going to link out to anything in this example. There's different ways they can get it. They can get it through the app. They can get it by email. They can get it by text according to their preferences. What do you want it to say? There's your text message. For those that have email set up as a receipt preference, there you go. Now I don't want to set a reminder. I'm going to automatically schedule it to go out. My goal is that half my employees are going to read it. Now all I have to do is enable it and click save, and it's scheduled. So it is that easy. Other items are things like surveys. So just a quick look at that. I've got a survey running, which I called, how cool is Steele Engage? Which I've got enabled already. So I set up some questions that I wanted to ask. Showed a landing page for what it's going to look like. Set a 75% open rate goal. Again, enable save and you're good to go. And I can show you what that actually looks like. So when an employee gets the survey, where are they going to be reading it? They're going to be reading it on their cell phone. So it's going to be about this size. And here's kind of what it looks like. You created an employer branded header that's going to have your logo at the top there. Say, how cool is Steele Engage? All right, let's start now. Are you reading this message? Yes. Is this tool awesome? Yes. Would you recommend it to a friend? Yes, and then my friend would recommend it to a friend. What percentage of employers would benefit from this? I'm going to say 60 to 89%. There's your results. Finish. Thank you. And you're done. So that's what the Engage tool is all about. If you're interested to see more information about how this will work, we've got an entire session dedicated to that on June the 30th. So that does wrap up the programming that we got for today. So I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. What I'm going to do kind of in closing is I'm going to wrap by sharing my screen with the information email address that we have. And if we've showed you anything today that you want more information about, or if you have any feedback for it at all, feel free to drop us an email and we definitely will take that into consideration. This is week 2 of our 12-part series on the summer learning series. We hope this has been a useful use of your time this morning. And we've got some great programming coming up over the next 9 weeks, and we look forward to seeing you back. Thank you so much.